Hey everybody, this is Tim Shorts of Gothridge Manor, and I am doing a hex flower today. What is a hex flower, you ask? You're looking at one. I think it was a term coined by Chicago Wiz back in the day. If not, I'm not sure who did it, but he was the first person I heard use the term. And why am I doing this? Good question, I guess. I'm doing this because of Paul. Paul is a fellow YouTuber. His YouTube channel is Flint Fireforge here on the tubes. And he has been doing a 30 days, 30 dungeons, and is on like day, I don't know, 18 or something like that. He keeps on saying that he's not crazy, but it seems like he's laughing a little bit more when he says it. But reason, so he's been doing these 30 dungeons, 30 days. He does a very basic outline, very basic concept for him. And what I thought I'd do the same thing, but I wanted to put mine in the context of a hex because I love hex crawls and I like developing things within a hex with some sort of context. So that'll help me kind of flesh out the adventures and dungeons. Paul has some different ways he generates the dungeons. I've got quite a few myself, so I thought I would use different products, share these products with you as I'm going along, and that you may also find useful. So it will also give me an opportunity on my way of going or thinking, my way of developing adventures, my way of developing a hex crawl and trying to make it interesting and tie it into things and have different aspects of your game woven in together to try to give your adventure depth. We're just starting off with a seven, I guess. 7 hexes, and it's a good start. I mean, I don't think we need any more than that. So this first episode is just going to be me doing a basic outline of these hexes using Sandbox Generator. Yes, it's a wonderful book. Get it, get it, get it, get it. It is definitely worthwhile, and it's a book I use a lot. I mean, when I like a book when I write all over it inside. And I've got markings and that because I've switched some of the tables around. I've added things, taken out things, and some of the book aspects are stronger than others, but it is good inspiration throughout. So this is the kind of thing I want to do. Spotlight maybe a product that I use to help develop this, or and then to flesh it out. So what we're going to do, like I said, so for this first episode, we're going to go through each hex using some hex tables to see what is in each of these hex. Very basic concept, and then we'll go. Then following videos will flesh out each one of these hexes. Now from the map, I'm sure you can see numbers are going vertically, and you see that the letters are going horizontally up to an angle. But these few of hexes, this is easy to do this way. When you start getting larger hexes, then large amount of hexes, then you may want to number each hex. For this case, I'll pass on that, and we're just going to write in what's going to be on each hex. We're not going to do any fancy icons or anything like that, which I kind of like doing, but maybe next time when I come back, we'll do that. And I'll show you the system I use for my hex crawls and how I do my symbol icons and whatnot to make it easily recognizable. All right, so why don't we start off? It's a quick overview, though, for the things I've changed. So for the starting hexes, I've added 2 different types of land masses or bios that I've added to my chart. One is lakes and the other is scrublands. Because where I live, they're here, so I like having that option of those in there. And then also what's in the hex when you try to populate the hex to see if there's anything in there. I've changed a few things around, added a few things. The things I've added are I've added hunting grounds for like the big alpha animals. The cool thing about that is if we do a layer that's somewhere nearby, if we roll one, then we can kind of maybe integrate it into that hunting area, because just because where it's at doesn't necessarily means where it just hunts too. But it also gives a relationship to the area. And then a resource. Police might not have any landmarks or settlements, but it might have maybe a mineable copper in the area. That might be interesting because, you know, players love finding resources and then turning it into their own little piggy bank kind of thing, which is fun. And then the last one I added is ruins. So it's just sort of an addition to maybe like the dungeon, but I love having ruins and the different types of ruins around there. Another thing to explore on top of you're already exploring through the wilderness, and then doing a little bit more small, you know, micro exploring, which is a lot of fun. So I've got my Skull Splitter. They are not a sponsor, but I do like Skull Splitter. Got this little dice roller thing. Had to clean it up because it was gross. It had a lot of dog hair and dust in it, so it does collect that. All right, so we're gonna roll two different D10s because my D10s tend to like rolling the same. I don't know what it is about my D10s, but once they start getting like an 8, I'm gonna keep rolling 8s. So I switch it up a little bit. I've got like 5 D10s here. So, but today I'm going to use my caramel D10 and then the black D10 I got from the Unnatural Selection Kickstarter. All right, so let's roll that. So our starting hex, let's see what we got here. So it is Scrubland in the middle. And I rolled a 4. So there's a landmark in here. Now, if anybody knows like the Sandbox Generator, or go get it, and you will, there's 3 different types of landmarks. There's natural, man-made, and then magical. We're not going to be rolling for what that is today. We'll be doing, that'll probably be one of our first videos next time. But let's go to the north. So now Scrubland has been established as our starting hex. So therefore the continuing hex, where we decide which our biodomes are going to be based off of the Scrubland. So let's roll this again. Let's try this again. All right. Okay, we rolled an 8. So we have a marsh up top. And then below number 6, here's a settlement. That's good. I always worry we're never going to get a settlement into that. Or now that I've rolled one, now we're going to get 3 in here. I'm not going to worry about what kind of settlement it is yet. I'm just going to keep going around. All right. Our next one. So we got hills over here. We got quite the eclectic little area. And 5. So it's hunting grounds over here. Interesting. Hunting grounds was an interesting addition, I think, that helped flesh out a few things for me. Because a lot of times when we, like, this thing has layers or dungeon or even a settlement, I mean, there's going to be an area where they've got to get resources, especially food. Food's the biggest resources that they're going to want. And so the hunting grounds, we don't know who's going to be using it or who's it for yet. All right, we got Scrubland again down below here. And then the contents within, it is empty. So that's our first empty hex. Now, when we describe something like empty, it's like a dungeon room. You know, there's sort of like a mathematical equation to dungeons that like 1/3 of all dungeons should be empty. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's a good thing to work off, but you know, I'm not one to abide. But because it says empty doesn't mean there's not something inside that hex that's worthwhile exploring. Maybe it has a certain animal or a certain plant that might be useful to the players, a road that goes through there, or something. It depends on what would suit our situation for this hex. So just keep that in mind, and we'll explore what it could possibly be when we get exploring into that hex even more. Ooh, we got mountains here. This is going to be some jacked up scrubland, marsh, hills, mountains, all over the place. And oh, we have a settlement up here too. All right. Oh, we have a settlement. All right. Let's swing over here. Got a 9. Oh, we got more mountains. Okay, so now we're getting a little consistency. And then F4, we got another landmark. I do like landmarks. Those are fun. I like the way he has them divided up into natural, man-made, and magical. There's a lot of different options for each one, and they just tend to be, I don't know, they're just interesting. I do like those things. And then our last hex that we're going to populate for the day is a 7. So, oh, we got a lake here. Nice. Oh, we don't want landmark lake. We want a lake up here. Okay, and it rolled a 2. So this is also empty. So what we'll do in the next following videos, because I don't want these videos to be too long. We'll go through each one of these hexes. The empty ones I might do together, or because we just have the 2 empties, right? Yeah, we only have 2 empties, but I want to try to make it a cohesive hex flower, and then we'll go from there. I mean, because if you think about it, if we go out one more hex, then we're like more than doubling how many hexes we have in there. I can't remember how many more goes out, but so we'll keep this short and concise, and that way when we start making up our adventures, we have some context within the area around it. So that's it, everybody. Thanks for joining me. And if you like this kind of content and you're not looking for any drama, you're just looking for some fun, gameable stuff, because this channel is going to be focused on being creative, doing creative things, making adventures, making hex things, doing walkthroughs with different products, sharing my Patreon stuff that I do. Please join me, subscribe, do the thumbs up thing, do my likes, and then I'll have my links down below where you can find me on Facebook, where you can find me on Patreon if you're interested. And if you do join my Patreon, the cool thing about my Patreon is everything's free there. But if you feel like you want to throw in some money, you can. And then for those who are at I only have a $1 and a $5 tier. And if you're at a $5 tier, I will send you a physical copy of things that I create. So, but that's it, everybody. Again, thank you for joining me. Hope to see you again. Roll better me, and we'll talk soon.